Hey, everybody. So we had a different podcast that we recorded to share with you guys. And then when we got done, we left the cameras running and we ended up talking for 30 minutes about a related subject that we actually thought was better than the podcast we recorded. So that's what we're going to give you guys. Follow us on all the stuff, Spotify, YouTube. So here's that episode of the podcast, the one that shouldn't exist.
Here it is. Hope you'll enjoy.
So what do you really think about the AI PM role? Do you think that it's going to just gradually disappear the same way that everything else has? Or do you think that it's going to...
Yeah, I would say so because, first of all, I think it's a bit misleading. So then nobody knows what it means. Is it like you're just using AI or, because in the future you will have AI as your employee. So then are you a real person or is that AI that you hired? So I think there's multiple layers of why it will go away as a title. For me, it's not logical that it stays. I think it will just be part of your skill, as anything is under product management anyways, because it's easier for this or that company to just box it under the PM section and that's it. I do also believe, which is the extension of this, is that the role will change, right? So it will adapt AI or not. You will just have to, as it's already happening, you will have to do your own prototypes if you're already not doing. You will have to vibe code. I mean, we already seen product marketing being under product manager. I mean, it happened to me in some roles and then we didn't use AI, right? So product marketing become part of product manager's work, team lead become product managers or PO work. I think also engineering manager and a head of product kind of also is going into just one role and so on, so on. So I would say AI would be just a skill, and then into even further future, it will be which AI on which level and stuff like that. Like not just AI, that will be too broad. Today it's even too broad, but we're still, I see, sticking with it. But in further future, you'll have to, Claude code.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what your take is on AI PM. Is that an internal marketing device so that I can help justify the job rec to senior leadership who has told me that AI is the most important thing for me to do? So I'm calling it an AI PM so that I can get them to sign off and approve on it and approve it.
Yeah, I think it's like a mix of stakeholders involved with hiring process and resources in general. So it's investors. Now they want AIPM. So you have to hire AIPM because that's what everybody's been doing. That's the hype. We're definitely taking AI into our company and doing something with it. So let's do that. I think it's also a marketing tool, as you said. So it's like a strategy, either from marketing team or not from marketing team. I think that's also one of the reasons. But in general, I would say, and this is, I said, a general trend that I'm seeing. And I don't know if I've been blind. So now I'm woken up and now I see, or this has been going on for a long while. Maybe you can help me with that question. Is the list of the skills or expectations from PMs today is getting ridiculous. And I'm not saying like you should know everything. I'm not even talking about that because like that has been going for a while for sure. And I can even say that. But they don't know who are they looking for. You literally see it. When I talk to my colleagues now going into these interviews, it's so obvious when they tell me what happened and the steps and so on. They have a million steps. That's first of all. Second of all, even that thing that you said about your experience, that they wanted someone who is more technical in data. Even that for me is, how are we finding out that in the end, you read my resume You probably asked me the first thing, how many experience do I have? And I gave you use cases that I worked on, or I've proven how much I know through either verbally or some assignment or like technical interview, it doesn't matter. You saw it then. We couldn't ended up interview stages and say, oh, but you don't have what we knew already in the first place that you don't have. Like, that can't be the reason. That can't be the argument that now you decide that you're not hiring someone. So I think they don't know who they want. They don't know what they need. And that is the reason why you have 10 steps where you basically work for free in those steps, you know? I'm not even talking about giving ideas and stuff like that, but like actual work that you do. And that's, I think, the main reason why there's a mismatch on the market. And that's not just for PMs, that's for all the roles ever. And it will just continue to be so, even worse.
I think a big part of this is alignment within the company and a lack of clear vision, North Star, understanding what are we actually trying to do here. Because if you understand the target and it's clearly communicated, it becomes easier to define roles within that to try and attain that target. But when there's not giving you clear direction on what we're even trying to do, the C-suite figured out, or they figured out how to spell AI, and now they want to cram it everywhere that they can. And but that's not a vision. That's not a real strategy. You know, we start with the vision, we figure out what's going on inside the organization, though that becomes a set of OKRs that we're targeting, right? Then we come up with strategies that help us execute those OKRs, and eventually tactics that are tied to the strategies. So there should never be a tactic that people are working on that doesn't tie back to that vision statement that you started with. If I don't know what the vision statement is, how do I do the next three layers in that with any confidence, right? How do I know what the right OKRs on? Where am I? I'm making OKRs that aren't tied to anything execution wise. They're just OKRs that I think this is what I need to do. So we're going to do these, and then, but if you don't have alignment from vision to OKRs to strategies to tactics, then that makes it really hard to find the right people to actually execute and deliver on things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And also would add that from my experience is that when a decision maker is part of the stages or part of the process, and if that decision maker is hiring for himself, that person needs someone in his team because someone is leaving or they have more work or stuff like that. He's motivated to find that person. And he will probably shrink that time in less stages because he needs that person right away. And he also wants to check it off his list. So I think then you're in luck. If not, then you're just getting dragged and maybe even scammed. You know, because it won't be the first one working for free, giving ideas and actually making the roadmaps and stuff, whatever they ask you to do. And then the company, even big companies, like very important and global companies, would use it, but would not hire anyone, let alone you, for some reason. So, yeah, I would say that you're in luck only if the hiring manager or the decision maker is part of it and you already know that you will meet that person soon. Hopefully, like in the second stage.
Well, and the other big piece here is a lot of times people don't, when they're doing something new, they don't understand the assignment. And so they're figuring out the assignment as they go. And as they figure out the assignment, now they start to understand who do I need? What kind of skill set do I actually need to deliver on this assignment? And so we're used to in the product world doing this incremental development where we start on a thing and we do a little bit and then we say, how's this look? And we get some feedback and then we increment some more and some more, right? Well, you don't necessarily always have that ability with hiring people because you you get somebody, you start day one and you think, this is the assignment and this is what I need. And so you go out and you try and hire somebody based on your original perception of the assignment. You get 3 months down the road, you know a lot more about it, but you're already committed to this guy that you hired, this guy or girl that you hired. What are you supposed to do? You can't, it's not like you can just write some more user stories and all of a sudden that person you hired gets a better or a different skill set that they didn't already have. So I think that's part of the confusion problem too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think a lot of people would find themselves in those words, like having that same experience in an interview or even as a bystander. Like I saw that with my own eyes, my colleagues doing the same mistake. Yes, I don't really know what to say there. It's like it sounds hopeless. I don't think it is. I actually do believe there is like a way to resolve this. And I read actually, oh my God, like I don't remember the name of the product or the person who did it, but he made a product, a platform for hiring, but for medical staff. And if I remember correctly, they couldn't find enough medical staff, but he realized there is enough possible employees, but they weren't matching. Then he made a platform that makes you as the future employee to choose between the companies basically, because it's not just hospitals, and that worked way better. So basically the companies were the one fighting for attention and for getting the staff, and that works. So maybe we should just apply it to everyone. I don't know.
Right. So if we were going to take that back to AI and hiring AI in the product management role, I mean, trying to get the right skills in, trying to not just find the right skill set, but somebody who's going to be compatible with the organization from a culture standpoint, because people don't leave because of skill sets. They don't leave because somebody in the next cubicle has different skill sets than them. They leave because the guy in the next cubicle brings in stinky food every day, and they leave because their boss is a jerk, or they leave because of these cultural things, right? They don't leave because my boss doesn't have the right skill set to do the work. And I don't think anybody's ever left a company because of that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also, if you demand from your employees some skill sets or experience, and you already hired them and you know that they don't have it, give them support. So now they have the skill set, find the right support. You need to educate them. You need to bring in specialists, maybe hire one. They can learn from it, from that person. Find the right approach. There is many, but you can't just expect them to have that tomorrow.
So in my upcoming book, Culture of Speed, I write a little bit about this. 4 steps to a high-performing organization. Step number 1 is hire the right people. It's the foundation for everything, right? Step 2, make sure that they have clear roles and responsibilities. So if you've got the right people in board, you want them to know this is what my job is, and these are the things that I'm responsible for. The third thing on the list ties to what you were just talking about. Make sure that they have the resources to execute on those roles and responsibilities. That can be training, that can be hardware, that can be an office to sit in. You don't send out, I don't know if you've ever watched a moving crew, a really organized moving crew, but they come in, there's like 3 or 4 guys, they know their roles, they swarm the thing, they get stuff moved out because they have the packing tape, the boxes, all the things that they need in order to do the job well. Contrast that to sending out some guy in a pickup truck with trash bags. Are you hiring a bunch of people, getting the best people you can, giving them clear roles, and then handing them the keys to a pickup truck with a box of trash bags and saying, go do the work? You're going to they might be able to ultimately perform the moving task, but it's going to be ugly. It's going to take a long time. It's going to, they're going to struggle with it because they don't have the things that they need in order to execute. So hire the right people, give them clear roles and responsibilities, make sure that they have the resources to execute. And then the fourth one is get the hell out of their way and manage the results. So if you can't get the hell out of their way, then you didn't hire the right people. So if you hired good people that you think can actually do the job, then get out of the way and let them do the job and focus on the outcomes. Focus on the results and manage those results. So that's kind of the high level process. And I think that ties to what you were saying there in terms of making sure that they have the resources, the tools to do their job.
That's all so true. And I think they fail so often in the first step just because they do not know what they need. And then they can't even outline what that person really needs to have. So the emphasis is on really. That person does not have to have 50 skills. I can vouch for it. Maybe 3, top 10, but probably 3 top skills, maybe 1 to 3 important experiences. That's basically it for any role ever. Except if you are finding like such a special niche position, which is less than 1%. Companies and something like very, very niche. But 50 skills is...
Yeah.
And then you're struggling to find the best person because you got at least 1,000 same CVs because they all adjusted their CVs to your 50 skills that you say that you need,
Yeah. I was coaching a nonprofit at one point, and they were very early in their process. And one of the first jobs that they hired was an engagement and revenue or fundraising manager. And they had all these requirements for the job that weren't necessarily tied back to engagement and fundraising. And I'm like, if you go forward with all of these, saying that all these skills are important, you're forgetting that the very most important skill that you have to hire is somebody who knows how to drive engagement and raise funds. And so it's not all these secondary and tertiary skill sets. It's, move this to the center, because if you hire an engagement and fundraising manager who can't drive engagement and can't raise funds, what are you doing?
Yeah, the basics. So like Jeff already said, please follow us on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. You can find our episode once a month. Usually, if we missed it, we will record another, so you will have like a double in 1 month. Please, like, all of your feedback really matters to us. Every episode we get a lot of feedback, and that's driving us if we know that we are helping you in some way. And also let us know if you have some ideas that you want us to cover, like a topic or a problem or challenge that you have as a PM or a founder with PM or something like that. So thank you all. Thank you everyone for supporting us and following us. We really do appreciate it. And follow us for more.
Yep. See you next time.